Hey, what's up guys? So I want to talk about these two cards that are seeing a lot more playing out in the meta, and those two cards are Compulsory Evacuation Device and Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Now, both these cards are great. They both have their advantages and disadvantages, so I just want to cover these because, maybe you have some extra room, you want to try out another card, and these two cards are pretty good. Now, first off, let's go ahead and talk about Compulse. Now, Compulse is great against certain decks that make a lot of Exceeds, or Synchros, or, E-Heroes that go for Fusion. And I think that this is pretty good because it's basically a 1-for-1. You can even plus off of that if they use two cards to make their synchro. A great example of that would be something like windups. Like if they go for their Zenmaity, you just send back Zenmaity, they don't have priority, and it gets rid of the problem. And they usually will use at least two cards to make Zenmaity, unless they went for like Tour Guide. But generally, it's really good in that aspect that you can just, send something back. It's always live. And same thing with Phoenix Wing Blast. So both those cards, these cards will always be live. Whereas something like Bottomless Trap Hole, you have to have it when your opponent goes for whatever they're going for. And if you draw it after that, then it's really not going to do you as good as something like when you just, draw into Compulse. After they already have their monster. Same thing with Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. However, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast allows you to, discard a card. So maybe if you're playing like Infernities, you don't just get rid of some extra cards in your hand that you can't really use. It's great for that as well. Something like Dark Worlds, you cannot use Phoenix Wing Wind Blast because discarding is the cost. So keep that in mind that it probably won't be too great in Dark Worlds because you won't get the effect of the Dark World monster. But I really think both these cards are great, and I want to talk about now why Phoenix Wing Blast can be better in some circumstances versus Compulse. Now, if you compulse something like Light Pulsar or Blackluster Soldier, or maybe just like, any Dark World monster, they're just going to go for it like their play again. And Phoenix Wing Wind Blast can, kind of stop that, because if you force someone to top deck their BLS, obviously they won't be able to use it that turn. But sometimes with Compulse, if you compulse something like a Judgment Dragon or a Blackluster Soldier or a Light Pulsar, they can just go for it immediately right again because they just have so many darks, or they have so much field set up. And that is one area where Phoenix Wing Blast can shine. Another thing is Gores. Like if you compulse someone's Gores, they're just going to have it again. Whereas Phoenix Wing Blast, it'll kind of set them back a turn. Plus, you already know what they draw into, so they have Gores. That way you can keep on attacking with small monsters, or perhaps you're just going to make a huge monster and just attack them once per game. In that aspect. And another thing, Tour Guide, I feel like Tour Guide doesn't really get hurt too bad by Compulse or Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, because they're like, oh, you're going to top deck my Tour Guide and you go -1. Even compulsing Tour Guide, I don't feel like is the best option. I feel like that is a card that a lot of people main deck, and maybe if you're having a problem against maybe Tour Guide, probably these cards aren't the greatest. But some cards like, Blackluster Soldier, or perhaps Light Pulse, or any Chaos monster, essentially, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast might be just a better option for you. Just because it does not allow them to just get it out once again immediately. And another thing where Phoenix Wing Wind Blast is really good is if your opponent side decks cards against you. So like maybe they side deck like Skill Drain, or like Defissure, or Gozen Match. Those are all great examples. Whereas you can use a card like Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, and you could just discard a card and make them top deck this card, and then go for your play. So a really simple example would be something like Junk Synchron. So maybe Gozen Match is messing you up, so what you're going to do is, if this is already face up on the field, you can Phoenix Wing Wind Blast it, and discard a card, let's say like Max C, and then you can summon your Junk Synchron, get back Max C, and then make a Catastor or Librarian, or whatever you want to go for. You just make that, and then they will draw into Gozen Match next turn, and it won't really do them any good. Same thing with Dimensional Fissure, but keep in mind, you do have to discard as a cost, so that card will get removed before Defissure gets to go off the field. Same thing with Skill Drain. If Skill Drain is stopping you from like your one play that you really need to have go off, you just Phoenix Wing Wind Blast it, and then you can hit the card, and then again, it's all about making them draw a card where they can't use it next turn because you've already went for your play. So just as an example, make a Stardust, make an Exceed, and then Gozen Match. Them drawing it will be completely useless, and that's where I feel like Phoenix Wing Wind Blast can shine. As well as, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast obviously being able to target the back row, as well as any monsters, and that is where Compulse cannot shine. Compulse can obviously only hit monsters. But I think both of these cards are really good, so if you're looking for another card, maybe you just have some extra room, and you just want to run a card that you feel is good against a lot of decks, I would say Compulse is overall, I personally feel like it's better for me. But if you guys think Phoenix Wing Windblast is a little bit better, let me know in the comment section below and your reasons why. Perhaps, you know, your deck choice obviously can take into consideration of why you would choose one over the other. Like, I feel like perhaps in Infernity you can use Phoenix Wing Windblast a lot better than you can maybe use Compulse, because you know, obviously Infernities have sometimes too many monsters in their hands and it can be a problem for them. But definitely both these cards are great, as well as if you think of any other ways to use these cards, like any cool combos, let me know in the comment section below, because I love to hear your cool combos. Like, for example, I really think that, because I know this is why I'm mentioning it, because it happened against me, because I was like, you know, I'm going to try this card. So I was playing basically like a junk synchro deck, and it was really good because Phoenix Wing Blast, I just got rid of a max C and then summoned Junk Synchron, got back the max C, and then went into a Catastor, and then him goes in match next turn really didn't matter because I already had my monster, and that's where I feel like Wind Blast is just really good, especially when you can top deck maybe like a vanilla monster, like when they go for like their Cobblezools or Sabersaurs, you can just make them top deck that monster, and so next turn they have a card that's not so great, and then on top of that, they will also lose the other monster because they cannot, if they cannot exceed that turn. But yeah, let me know what you guys' opinions are on Compulse and Phoenix Wing Blast, because I think there are pretty good cards, especially if you have some extra room to test out. But thanks for watching, guys. Asian Eyes White Dragon, signing out.